Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you smash it now. August 16, 2020. A lot of you guys have been asking me about this date and about this incident in particular at RJD, Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility. I know what transpired, right? I wasn't there when the assault kicked off, the attempted murder on peace officers, on the COs, but I did respond right afterwards, right from home, as a result of my positions that I was in. Let me break down to you what happened from the start, right? Prison gangs, I'm talking about prison gangs, are not a secret. Okay? You guys already know. You guys know a lot. Trust me, you guys know a lot. I see in the comments. This is what you don't know. We had a warden by the name of Pollard. Incompetent, narcissistic, egotistical. He was allowed to get away with away with because of his mama up at the top, right? Sacramento headquarters. So, when you're that type of personality, you're going to surround yourself with idiots so that you can be the smartest guy in the room. This is what this guy did. One of them happened to be one of his buddies that came with him from Calipatria State Prison. Before that guy was at High Desert State Prison. I told you the department is small. And I told you it only takes background checks. A thumbs up or a thumbs down. This guy gets 4 thumbs down. The way the promotion system works in the California Department of Corrections is every 2 years you are eligible for a promotion. So you can have been an officer for 2 years. You're eligible to take a test and to interview. You pass those 2, they choose you, you get promoted. You're a sergeant for 2 years, you take a test, you interview, you get promoted. You're a lieutenant for 2 years, you take a test, so on and so on, Captain AW. The department has changed. You can now, or that used to be frowned upon, to promote after 2 years because, like, honestly, what do you know, right? But the department has changed. Nobody wants to promote now, so you're getting a lot more of that. Inexperienced. And I'm not against that. Inexperience is inexperience. However, you have to approach that mindset. You have to approach that situation with the correct mindset, that you don't know anything and that you better ask for help. Well, none of this plays into part with what transpired. This story is about that attempted murder on peace officers, but I'm giving you the backstory and the inside scoop of what really happened at RJD. This guy comes down, gets a promotion to RJD as a captain. 9 years, 10 years, whatever he had, whatever little time he had. 9 years, whatever that's, is nothing. I already told you, his best friend was the warden. As a matter of fact, they were probably roommates, they were probably carpooling, etc., etc. Kind of weird stuff, right? Definitely going out to the gym. There's a picture of them at the gym. That's for sure a fact. There was an issue. They were going to flip, at Donovan, they were going to flip Bravoyard and Alpha Yard. Alpha Yard was GP. At the time, Bravoyard was SNY. They flipped them. So they made Bravoyard the GP they made Alpha Yard the SNY. Well, they put this guy, this captain, overseeing Bravoyard. This is where that incident transpired. Man. This guy, somehow, some way, I don't know how, gets an inmate to transfer down from High Desert State Prison, which is in shady in itself, man. Ain't nobody handpicking inmates or selecting inmates from other joints. It's just unheard of. I've never seen anything like this before. You guys are hearing it. This guy that he brings down at the time had either just been barely brand new made, or was about to be made. Right? He was about to be a somebody, a heavy hitter within his own organization. That's fine. Again, that's fine. Right? People can promote to a captain with 9 years, right? That's fine. I said, as long as you come in with a mentality. People can become made people. That's fine. It's prison. Man. Somehow he signs off. This guy comes down, right? These two guys are like buddies, man. I never seen anything like this. The captain and that guy, the heavy hitter at the time, the somebody at the time, were like best fucking friends. It was unfathomable. Right? Preferential treatment, favoritism, weird stuff. Weird stuff. I'm a lieutenant at the time. I know what prison is. I know what it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to see that kind of stuff. Who are you going to tell? Are you going to tell the warden who's working out at the gym with him? Are you going to tell our investigative services unit, ISU, who worked on behalf of number 1 and number 2? This was inevitable. I mean, it could have been prevented, but man, how? Who was going to listen? I already told you who was backing the warden up at the top, mama. So, this guy, this captain, goes on to create a environment where the officers could not do their job, were targeted for doing their job, and I'm talking about simple pat downs. Yes, pat downs. There was allegations that there was a no pat down policy. Now I'm going to keep it real. Apparently when that no pat down, allegedly somebody said that during a pat down, somebody got smacked in the ass. I don't understand. Even if that's the case, then that's an isolated incident, right? Sacramento loves to use isolated incident. But I was covered relief, so I would work on that yard periodically, right? Not all the time, but I would see some weird stuff. One time the captain told me to write up officers for inmates not making it to their pill line. I'm like, hold up, man, this guy's far out. I did my research. Yeah, the doors were popped for the inmates to go to the pill line. The inmates simply refused to go. They didn't want to go. Can't make them go get his pills. So I wrote back the captain the email. I'm not going to go write up these officers. As a matter of fact, I'm going to thank them for doing their hard job. They didn't like that. They don't like people like that. So, it was an open door policy where this one member, this dude, can walk right in through the front program door that's supposed to be locked, bypass the sergeant, bypass the lieutenant, and go chop it up with his buddy in the back in the captain's office. Weird stuff. Everybody saw it, but what can you do? Like, this dude's a captain. In all fairness, this dude's a captain. Like, and the atmosphere that had been created by Pollard and his administration is you go against the grain, you're going to get your head chopped off. We've seen it time and time and time again. That's illegal. That's corruption. That's harassment. That's hostile work environment. So what I'm doing right now is painting you the picture. you can feel that this is already brewing, right? I once had a nice lady. She's a CO. She told me, hey, you have to do something. Like they were pleading for help. She's like, can you believe that this guy, this member, told me, I'm going to have that captain hold a meeting with all you staff members so that you guys hear what I have to say. If you guys work at another prison, you guys are probably hearing, no way this has happened, right? No way this has transpired. No way this has went on for a long time. So that's the type of atmosphere that was created. The inmate population felt untouchable because that captain, that warden created that. So if you have a prison yard where the inmates think that they're untouchable, you have staff that are, their morale is gone. They're going to get in trouble if they look the wrong way, right? If they don't, it's just all bad. As a result of being a somebody, you have a lot of power. You have the power. Right? Keeping it real, you have the power. So when you go, everybody goes. And that's what was so dangerous. That's what was so dangerous. You had a higher up on our side, you had a higher up on their side, not the smartest individuals. As opposite of smart as that you can get. Coinciding. On this day, August 16, 2020, I was the crisis response team commander, the CRT commander, equivalent to our SWAT team. I was the public information officer, the PIO, the right-hand man for that warden at the time. It was yard recall, like 3:55 p.m., gonna be 4 p.m., inmates go in from their yard, back into their building, back into their housing units. There is a table in front of building 8. There was young cops on that yard. They were drunk. Those inmates were drunk. That in itself is dangerous. This whole situation is dangerous and messed up. Whatever the empowerment that those inmates felt as a result of that captain, probably the inexperience from the officers. I wasn't there. I was not there on that yard. I can't say anything about that. It kicked off. It erupted. It blew up like we kind of all figured it would. There's no way that it was going to end well. That heavy hitter at the time rushed the cops. When I already told you, when he goes, everybody goes. It's an unwritten rule. It's an unwritten rule that if one Hispanic gets involved, everybody gets involved. It's even a written rule in the Little Kites, right? It's common knowledge, which is scary. I'm gonna keep it real. That's scary. Having hundreds of dudes mob on you, mop you up. Inmate manufactured weapons, shanks, were utilized on the cops. Stabbed in the face, stabbed in the mouth, stabbed in the back, stabbed in the neck. These dudes went for it. These inmates attempted to kill these officers. Trust me when I say that. Trust me. It wasn't, I've been doing this job for 16 years. I know when somebody's trying to kill another person. I know when they're trying to touch them up. Batons got taken away from the officers. Batons got utilized. The inmates got the baton, smashed an officer's face in. Mind you, these cops are fighting for their lives. These cops are fighting for their lives, literally. You have other inmates on the opposite side of the yard, more closer to the program. I told you, one goes, everybody goes. They jump up, they start rushing, right? It's on and cracking. This is it. This is the ignition. It is now blown up. Cops are fighting for their lives. Fighting. You got drunk inmates with knives, batons, pepper spray. You got cops running from all over the prison. You hear code 3, staff assault? That's it. That's a wrap. You're going. You're dropping whatever it is you are going. That's the worst thing you can hear. Other cops were coming. They were coming from like the TTA. They were fighting. One solid dude, I'll give him a shout out. This is what this is all about, right? The truth. One solid dude, I've always liked this kid. Marine. Came from the TTA, started going one-on-one with that dude, with that former higher up, right? I get a phone call, right? It gets quelled. There's blood. There's so much blood. There's so much chaos. A Mini 14 rifle was used. A warning shot. It's just chaos, right? Pepper spray. You can smell it. You can see it. Blood. Bandages. Zip ties. Inmates still down. So I get a call. Hey, just so you... My phone blew up. It blew up from everybody. Cops just stabbed. Cops getting life flighted. So I'm like, fuck, man. Like, that's the worst, right? I only cared about the troops, right? And their safety. This was it. It got jeopardized. I get dressed. I drive in. By the time I got there, they were already down. They were already zip tied. They were doing like escort operations. In the gym were the Southsiders involved. And I always hated this part, man. After a major riot or after a major staff assault, I always hated when you had these dudes zip tied and together. They become emboldened. Just, you can tell the tension in the air, the way that they look at you, the way that you look at them. It's awful. You can cut through the air when it kicks off like that. And if any of you guys know what I'm talking about, have been through it, after a major incident, especially with that organization, because they roll deep, right? And they come with the business when they come. I go to the cage, the holding cell, and open the door, and that dude is right there. And I look at him, and I say, disrespect? Like, this was over disrespect? Somehow that had got planted into my head. Like, somebody had said it. Somebody had said, this is what transpired. This is what had kicked it off. In essence, like I told you, man, you had a drunk inmates. You had what you had. You had that environment that was built by that captain and by that warden, former warden. And that dude looks at me and he says, why don't you ask your cops or talk to your cops? And I looked at him again and I said, weapons, dude? Weapons? I was like, I understand that stabbings on cops happen, but this was serious. This was a serious attempted murder on a cop, right? On multiple cops, COs. So now it's my job to get this dude transported, the crisis response team commander, right? We got the troops, we got the officers on the line, we got CRT coming in, right? Hats off to them. ISU at the time. Man, I'm not even going to get into the whole ISU thing. I am not. Real quick. Somehow Pollard managed to get other people from other institutions to come over. They were basically just spies for him. They didn't contribute. They didn't help out with the evidence preservation on that yard, on that incident. They were just standing around being the mole for the warden. It was disgusting. It was sickening. So we got to plan the transport for that one individual that kicked it off, who's higher up, to Calipat. Right? That's the way it works. Like if there's something major, we transport him out immediately. That's how it's supposed to work. The chief deputy warden and all her might, she's like, make sure he's on camera the whole time. Yeah, you don't think I already know that? This lady was oblivious. Didn't help the matters. As a matter of fact, was the biggest snake I ever met. And had a lot to do with this. They all did. They're all guilty. Right? Guilty as charged. Dude gets transferred. Oh, they were telling us to make sure we put a camera on him to make sure that we didn't pull over and rough him up on the side of the road. I already told you, man. That's kind of far-fetched. It may not be far-fetched. It probably happens in like the other states. I don't know. I don't work over there. But that's why she was asking to put the camera. I already knew this. It was major. I get a phone call from Sacramento telling me do not say anything to the media. So that kind of struck me as odd. And a lot of people wanted to know this. A lot of people were mad at me. A lot of my people were mad at me saying, hey, you're the PIO. You're the public information officer. Why didn't you speak on this? Like, why are you doing their bidding? Why are you doing their dirty work? Why are you hiding this? I told you. I got a call saying, hey, don't say nothing. We're going to handle it from up here. All I said was like, yeah, in my head, that's kind of weird, but they got it. They got it. I tell you, stuff didn't sit well with me. Values, ethics, morals. That's kind of maybe one of them. Right? Well, you guys are hearing it now. I'm the unfiltered PIO. I went and saw that officer that night at the hospital. Bad shape. Bad condition. I am very grateful and thank God he survived that. There was a couple officers in the hospital. Right? One of them really got it really bad. I saw him a total of like 5 or 6 times, going out there, checking, going out there, looking. Like I care about the troops. Clearly I care about the troops. So the warden, I was a PIO. He tells me like, man, I thought that guy, referring to the captain, his buddy, I thought that guy would get it. I thought he would get it. I thought he would come around. I said, nah. I said, that's a wrap. That's a wrap with that dude. There's no coming back for him. I said, your best bet is to move him to Delta Yard, because even if he messes that yard up, we can still bring it back. Because it was a good yard. You had great staff, great supervisors. And even if that yard got out of control, we would be able to pull it back. And that's what I told him. The warden gave me a look like damn, did this dude really just tell me that? Yes, absolutely. 100%. We're not playing anymore. We shouldn't have been playing from the start. So, that's that story. Right? Let me tell you about organizations and prison gangs. They don't like attention on them. They don't like heat. Who does like heat? Nobody likes heat. If you do something unfavorable, if you bring heat, if you aren't the sharpest tool in the tool shed, your fate, your career isn't gonna fare well, man. People don't play. People do not play. They don't play. This isn't a game, man. For all of you guys that are not from outside or from outside of California, like, this is the real deal, man. People, lives, man, lives on both sides. That's crazy. So the message for today is there's going to be 2 messages, man. If you're new, if you get power, you better ask somebody for help. You would be dumb not to. That's number 1. Number 2 is if you see something wrong, do something. Right? Document. And here's why. Because all this documentation will help you out like years later. It might not help. Look, this happened in 2020. We're in 2023. You guys are hearing it. All right, this is money. Keep pushing forward.